Hey, this is Joakim from Neckbreakker, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show.
So I have Joakim from Neckbreakker. How's it going tonight, mate?
It's going good, going great.
Whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm in Denmark, in
Whereabout?
Jylland. I'm in Odder, which I'm at my parents' place right now, actually,
How
visiting
okay,
them.
okay, so I've been to Copenhagen. How far is it from there?
Yeah, it's probably like 3, 4 hours from Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool, cool. I love that part of the world. It's a beautiful country you live in. Beautiful country. So let's get into the
Thank
music.
you.
You released your debut album within the Viscera, right? Back in December. The album has been in people's ears now
Yeah,
for a while. How's the response been?
I think it's been great. I mean, both from like within Denmark, within like from all our friends in Denmark, meeting them at shows and stuff, and like people who've known us for years, but also in terms of like we're getting a lot of new listeners in that are like finding our band through us actually finally releasing something.
Yeah.
So their first impressions also seem to be very great, and it's really cool to see a lot of new people as well finding our band.
So do you, well, obviously the album's been out a few months. So do you go and look for reviews? Do you actually get them sent to you, or do you go and have a little snoop around to try and get the vibe of what people are saying?
I mean, a bit of both, I guess. I mean, some reviews are sent to us like by our uh, people from our label, but as well, also like, of course, if someone tags us on Facebook in a review, I'm gonna get it on my phone, and then I'll probably have a look, even though I maybe shouldn't. But
Yeah.
it seems everyone seems to be really nice, and but I'm also very uh, critical of our own band always. So if someone mentions something that they don't like, I can probably take it a bit too hard sometimes. So, but I'm very bad at not looking at reviews.
I
So
understand. I understand. Well, from my perspective, the album is absolute killer, man. Really is. Great, great
thank you
album.
so much.
Fantastic album. Now, you formed in 2020, and we'll get into the history of that
Yeah.
in a few questions' time. But what took you 4 years to get an album out? Was it slowly building up a fan base, getting your sound, creating? What was it? What was the timeline like?
I guess it was just that we've pretty much just mostly been focused on playing shows, I guess. And then I mean, it we kept delaying it because it was like, okay, right now isn't the right time to release an album, but if we wait probably like 6 months, then it'll be the right time. And then it just happened to end up being 4 years. Back in 2021 or two, we recorded like an EP that we were supposed to release, but then we just kept delaying it and delaying it, delaying it. And then once we signed with Nuclear Blast, we decided that it would be best to just make a record instead, because at that point we had enough songs that we could just make an entire album. So we thought we'd rather wait and then make like a real debut album we could be proud of, and like
Sure.
it's made with a real producer, and like we put a lot of effort and a lot of time into it compared to like that EP we recorded a couple years ago.
When you hit the ground running with such a well produced, awesome album, there's no turning back from that. You've like hit the nail on the head straight away. So how do you like to write and record? How
Love
did
to
you
hear.
how did you bring it all together with the debut? How did you write and record quite
Yeah.
traditionally, or was it done at a distance? What was it like?
I mean, the writing process for us has always been uh, us together in a room, like the band in a room, or like maybe sometimes not the whole band, but we've never like been a band that writes separately.
Right.
It's always been someone brings like a riff or maybe two riffs, and then we sit down and then we just everyone just throws their ideas in, and we eventually come up with the song. It's always taken us a long time, and probably a bit too long, and you could also see that in the time it took us to release an album. We take a long time to write songs, and uh, also we can be very like picky when it comes to calling a song done. So we'll write a song, play it live a couple of times, and then decide there's something that has to be changed, and then we'll go back and switch some parts around or make this twice as long or something like that.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but and then I mean, when it comes to recording, we've always been, at least for the debut album, we really, because we've played so much live, we wanted the album to just kind of be a representation of our sound live. So like, there's two guitar tracks for the most of the record, one in each ear, and like all this drums are recorded like none of the drums are like put exactly to the tempo and like quantized or whatever, and it's not recorded to a click or a BPM or anything,
Cool.
so it's just
Cool.
like so yeah, and most of the drums are like we pretty much just recorded the drums like our drummer and then me with a guitar like besides him, and then just put down all the drum tracks and then put on the guitars after.
I love that. I love how organic that is, and it actually comes through on the record. It's really, and now you've said that,
Yeah,
that's
glad to
changed.
hear.
That's changed how I'm going to listen because I'm a drummer myself, and I fucking hate click tracks, right? But it's so
Yeah.
nice to have it organic. That's so cool. Now, lyrically, what are the themes? What themes go through the record?
I mean, I've sometimes tried to get in our lead singer Chris writes most of the lyrics, and like I've sometimes tried to get in his head and like try and see if I can find like an overarching theme or like some deeper meaning, but I think it's just some like fucked up stories he comes up with and like writes lyrics
Yeah.
from that. Like think that especially in songs like Horizon of Spikes or Shackled to a Corpse, where it's just like some medieval fucking story about people getting killed in some way of another, and then
Wow.
he'll write a story about it and then he'll put it into lyrics in some way. But I don't think there's a lot of like deeper meaning in it.
That's cool. What
It's
we
mostly
want.
just like
That's what we want
classic
from. That's what we want from metal,
death
right?
metal
Death
core.
metal. Now, can you go through some history of the band? How you got together, how you decide on the sound, etc. Because, and also, can we just
Yeah.
discuss, if those who haven't seen you visually, how young you are? How old are you?
We are well now we are I'm 21. Our singer is the oldest. He's 22, I think. Yeah, he's 22, turning 23 soon. And then our youngest member is now Johan, our guitarist, who just turned 20.
Wow. So, tell me the history. How did you all get together? Did you know each other from
Yeah,
school, or what was it?
I mean, the first how it all started from the beginning was all started with our now previous drummer Anton, who he was searching for like people just to play metal with, and he was like 13, I think, back then,
Right.
something, and like it was really hard, at least in Denmark back then, to find someone that age that wanted to play death metal. And then when eventually me and Johan, our other guitarist, found him and we kind of met up and kind of saw that we were like-minded. I guess we had an appreciation for like old school death metal and especially the Danish band Based, who
Hmm.
were a huge, huge inspiration for us back then. And then we just kind of started writing songs and found our lead singer Chris just like through Facebook groups and stuff. And then I started in the Danish equivalent of high school with our bassist, and he came into the band. And then we just kind of had like, because this was right around when with COVID,
COVID.
so there were no shows going on.
Yeah.
So we just pretty much had like a year and a half to just sit in a rehearsal room and practice and write songs. So that's what we did. So like I'd say we were pretty well prepared when we eventually got to play our first gig.
COVID probably did you a favor then. It gave you the time to just lock
Yeah,
in
for sure.
together. That's very
We
cool.
always talk about that compared to like other bands who'll just sit and fucking talk about how
Yeah. And a lot of
fucking shitty
bands,
it was for them and it ruined everything. And we're just
yeah, and they
like
have and they
pretty
have to
good for us.
and they have to find time. Some bands have to find time after work to go and get together, but you had this dedicated time, which is one good thing to come from the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So how did you, in all due respect, how did you grow up with like death metal, such a mature sound with regards to how classic the stuff is from the 90s, etc. How did you manage to find that? Was it friends and family, or did you just stumble on it yourself?
I mean, for my sake at least, I stumbled on it on myself. I'm the kind of person that like when I get into something, I'll get really, really into it and be very obsessive.
Yeah,
So as soon as I found like pretty much as soon as I started listening to like rock music, I
yeah,
just kept going deeper and deeper. And then I started listening to Metallica, and then I started listening to Slayer, and then I found like Scream Bloody Gore by Death, and I was like, this is pretty much Slayer, but it's a bit angrier. And
yeah.
then it all pretty much started from there. So I think I still have that like obsession, I guess, of like it's gotta be heavier and it's gotta be like more extreme or like I don't know, but like yeah, that's pretty much how it went
Got you.
for me at
And
least.
the obviously your band name is probably the most clinical, says what it does on the tin kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from? Obviously, it's the most obvious name, but who came up with that obvious naming? Can you believe it's not been done before?
Yeah, I mean, I think we came up with it like for the first couple of years of the band, we recalled the same exact name but in Danish. But then when it came time to do the record, we changed it to Neckbreakker instead.
Right.
But I mean, we were just kind of like describing what we wanted our shows to be like, I think, at the first rehearsal. And
Mhm.
then someone mentioned something about like fucking running and jumping on people's heads and breaking their necks and just like, yeah, neck breaker, that's good.
That's good.
And you just never changed it.
Classic. Now, hopefully, it will be a classic because I think you guys are going to go a long way, right? But it's what's going to help you go a long way is the fact that you've got one of the best metal labels behind you with Nuclear Blast. How did that deal come about at such a young? I keep going back, helping on the young age, but
Yeah.
you're quite a fresh band. You've got an incredible sound. Was it as easy as that to get in the deal, and how did it happen?
I mean, it pretty much happened after like, as I said, after the pandemic kind of died down a bit and shows started happening again. We just kind of started playing as many shows as we could, and like for the entirety of 2022, we played a lot of shows in Denmark, and then we caught the attention of Copenhagen, which is like the big
Yeah,
Danish metal festival.
of course.
Each year they have this uh, like a showcase show for like
Was it
it's also
like a battle of the bands kind of thing? Was it
yeah,
or
pretty much. It's just like they pick five of the Danish metal names that they kind of want to push to the industry and to the like the rest of the world, and then they have this like night where they showcase them, and we played that, and someone from Nuclear Blast was there and just pretty much came down to us after, and like we had a talk, and that's pretty much how it started. We talked to some
amazing?
other labels as well, but I mean, it was pretty clear for us that Nuclear Blast was what we wanted. Like
Of course.
they seemed so. Of course, it's Nuclear Blast, and like they have so many legendary bands, but also just like the people we talk to there, and like the team we have there now are just so chill and like really understand what kind of band we're trying to be and like what we want to do and
Mm,
the sound we're going for, and like also like the aesthetics and like
yeah.
album artwork and like just creative direction. If as a whole, they
Mm.
really get us. So that was really nice to
Uh,
feel that like a
that's
label
amazing.
also understood what we wanted
I bet you had
to
a few Tuborgs or Carlsbergs were drank that night.
do. For sure.
So being in Denmark, you said about obviously showcasing with other metal bands. What's the scene like these days? I mean, I've interviewed Panzerkreis, I've interviewed Convent. I've never had Lars Ulrich on the
Yeah.
show, but I mean, it's a pretty lively scene, right? Would you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely like it feels for me at least as if it's only gotten bigger in the past probably 5 or 6, 7 years.
Yeah, yeah, I
It
understand.
was really like at least the death metal part of the scene was really uh, got a lot of attention and was like kind of revived by Best, as I mentioned earlier, who
Mhm.
came out on the scene like in 2016, really,
Yeah.
and like especially for like a younger audience in Denmark, it really brought a lot of new people into the scene. And then a couple of years passed, and like all of those young people have now started bands and like are playing shows.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool to see. And it feels, at least for me, like at least every, if not every day, at least every week, I go onto Instagram and I find a new band that's playing death metal or hardcore or thrash metal or whatever kind of heavy music uh,
Yeah.
people want to play. But it's really, really cool to see because like we're in a period now where it just feels like everyone's starting bands.
Cool. Yeah, I think so. So, show wise, you've said you're absolutely killing it. That's where you've come from. It's where you were born from, right? And you've played some incredible festivals, retrospectively, Copenhagen, Hellfest, Sweden Rock, huge festivals. But this year's like it's going up a notch. It's like on steroids. You're playing with Gojira, Slayer, Kerry King, and not to mention your own tour, which
Yeah.
starts, I think, next week. You know, shows are so important to you, but these shows are incredible at such a young age. How does it feel to be getting so many shows under your belt with such cool bands and your own tour as well?
Yeah, I mean, it feels fucking amazing. Like, ever since we started the band, this is like, it's been our dream pretty much. Like, playing shows in general, but also just like getting to play with, like, getting to play with Slayer is something like we've joked about like so many times in the past like 5 years. But then
Yeah.
as soon as we got that fucking offer, we were just
Well, I'm gonna be at the
blown
London.
away and like,
I'll be at the London show, right? And like,
oh, that's fucking sick.
I
Yeah,
mean, you think who's playing on that bill as well? I mean, I'm an off,
exactly.
and then you got Anthrax, and you got Hatebreed, and
It's
then you got you
like
guys.
five
It's like
names, and then who the fuck is
It's
that?
like fucking hell, man. What a fucking setup that is for you. You're gonna have a whole park outdoors all over you. Like, you're gonna be so cool for that show, man. And I'm so
Fucking
pleased you got.
crazy.
When I saw your name on that show, I was like, that is so cool for you. I'm really pleased you got it. But how does it feel? Obviously, the Kerry King thing as well, and you've got your own tour.
Yeah.
What's a Neckbreaker show like for someone who's never seen you? I can imagine there's a lot of energy.
Yeah. I mean, what we're trying to like emulate, or at least what we're really huge fans of, is like trying to do like uh, bring some of the energy of like a hardcore punk show into
Yeah,
like death metal.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like it's not, we don't play with like dimmed lights and a ton of smoke and like stuff like that. It's very high energy. Like we've always probably won't be able to do it at the Slayer shows, but we always encourage like stage diving and
yeah,
stuff like that. We just want it to be a party, pretty much,
yeah,
but still, of course, taking the music seriously as an art form. But the live shows is where you can get a little more crazy with it, and I think it ends up being a much more fun time for everyone if both the band and the crowd are like involved,
yeah.
which is what I really really like about hardcore, and like why I also kind of like why we try and incorporate some of those elements, because the live show of a hardcore show is like to me the quintessential show to be a fan at.
Yeah. Tell me about your own headline tour, which starts. What is it? You play, not headline. Is it your headline tour next? It starts next week.
Yeah, it is.
So, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah. After shows, do you hang out at merch tables so you can meet and sell? Do you do that so people know?
always.
Yeah.
Always. We always do. Like, at least for me, when I was going to shows as like both as a younger person, but also now, like one of my favorite parts of the show is going to the merch table after the show and like seeing that the whole band is there
Yeah.
and like being able to talk to them and like get a signature on a record or whatever you want. And
Yeah.
like
Of
that's at
course.
least something that's really, really important to me. And like we're gonna keep doing it as long as it's
I
in any
love
way
that.
feasible.
I love
Uh,
that because there's a lot of people go to shows and they don't know, is the band going to come out? Are they not going to come out? Do we wait? Do we go? So it's good that you can say that because it's cool to meet your fans. Now, personally, what do you prefer out of studio and stage? Obviously, you're very creative in the studio, awesome guitarist, but I think you're going to say you prefer the stage over the studio.
Always. I'll always say that. I love, I don't really, I like being in the studio, but it's the same time, it's a really tedious process and like
Yeah, no.
getting it right. and
Yeah.
like stuff like that
Yeah.
in a completely different setting than we're used to, because like I'm used to just being on stage and like playing with the whole band. So like
Yeah.
yeah, I'd also always take playing a show over being in the studio.
So what's been your favorite show so far and why?
Oh,
Just
there's
one
a
show, just one memory that sticks in your head.
oh, if I had to pick one show, god damn. Um, I mean, I'll probably have to say probably. I mean, I had for as a Danish person, I have to say the Copenhagen show we did last summer,
Of course.
because like that was just playing.
Did you have a good slot? Were you quite early or
Yeah, we played like I think we played like at 5 or something, so like right before
perfect?
dinner. It was
Perfect.
really nice.
Mm.
It's just like I've never seen that many people at that stage before, and it was still our by far biggest show ever. And like,
Yeah,
but the thing is, like with Copenhagen, it's the festival that all Danish bands want to eventually
of
go
course.
play,
Of course.
and also just like being up in that stage and looking at that huge crowd, but like. It's such a huge crowd, but at the same time, I know half of the people standing there, and they're my
Yeah,
friends and stuff,
that's
and
cool.
my friends and my family being there.
That's
So
nice.
that was really, really, really cool.
Okay,
And then it was just also an insane show.
so here's a double-edged question. First off, where do you want to play that you haven't played yet that's not scheduled? And where do you want to play?
Yeah.
What show are you looking forward to playing that you haven't played before? Like what city?
Cool. Um, I mean, a place that we haven't played before that I'm really something that's not scheduled at least. I really look forward to eventually going to the United States. Um, just because like a lot of our band and like the style we play and the way we kind of like uh, put ourselves forward as a band, I think is
Yeah.
really inspired by the whole like death metal blending with hardcore scene that's going on in the
Yeah.
US at
Yeah.
the moment. So like
Yeah.
getting to play to those crowds would be really, really, really cool. Um, and then I mean, we would love to play. We've only played like 2 or 3 shows, I think, in the UK in total. So it'll be really, really cool to go there again.
So you're just going to play
Fun.
Finsbury Park and just do it all in one go.
Yeah.
It's a
Gonna be
big show,
crazy.
man. That's a big show. So, um, what band do you think ideally you'd be good to be paired with that you've not played a show with before to do a tour? What would you pair yourself with?
Oh, that's a really good question also. Um, if we're going like internationally, it's
Yeah.
probably like bands like Gate Creeper. We would love to tour with them, and like 200 Stab Wounds.
Yeah, class.
I mean, a band for me personally that I think would be really cool is like Knocked Loose, because like
Right.
I know they often do like kind of mixed bills where they bring stuff that isn't necessarily their style of music. So
Yeah,
I
cool.
think that would be really cool
That's
too.
cool. That's cool.
We've always talked about doing like a Danish tour with some Danish bands, especially Leipzig, which is a Danish hardcore band we're good friends with. We've
Nice.
always talked about it'd be really cool to tour with them, do like a dual headliner.
That'd be so
So
cool.
yeah, there's a lot of bands that we still haven't played with.
You got a lot of road ahead of you. So I've got some fun questions for you. Are you ready for these?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
what would your death row meal be?
Death Row meal. Or I actually thought about this. I'm the kind of guy where I think if I had to choose, I would probably just go like simple, not think about it too much, and just like do my usual order of McDonald's. Just
Okay,
because like
what is that?
that's a if I'm really hungry, it's a McChicken like menu or like a meal, and then a cheeseburger, and then in Denmark, I don't know if they have them other places. They're called chili cheese tops, or
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
They're good.
an
They're
order
good
of
fun.
those.
I like
And
the
that's
fact
pretty much it.
I like the fact you've got a side of a cheeseburger. That's very cool. That's the sort of thing I
Like
do.
just a little something a little extra for me if
That's what
I'm
I
really
do.
hungry.
Here we go then. If you could choose one song to play every time you walk into a room for the rest of your life, like an introduction, like you're here, what
Oh,
track would it be and why?
oh, fucking hell. Hmm.
For the rest of your life. You're here. It's like, and Back in Black plays or something like that,
The rest, yeah, uh, probably like uh, I think I really love one of my favorite bands ever, even though they're not metal at all, is The Strokes.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, I'd probably say like You Only Live Once with The Stroke.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Now, okay, you've got that one, but what about this? What do you think is the heaviest, nastiest, most stink face riff of all time?
The heaviest. Oh, uh,
Just one. Yeah, we've all got hundreds, but just one that comes into your head.
oh,
I tell you
uh,
what, recently when I was at the gym this morning and Silo came on, that middle bit fucking got me going. I was lifting heavier.
I'm glad to hear that. Probably like Day of Suffering with Morbid Angel, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Uh, Either that or just like gotta
That's-
go local, maybe. What's it called? Danish band Ill Disposed, or
Okay.
like if maybe just go classic and say The Thing That Should Not Be, Metallica. It's always
Nice.
been one of my favorite riffs.
Nice, 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 nice. So, what's on the band's bucket list? What do you want to do that's maybe a few years down the line that you've not considered yet? Obviously, you've played the big festivals, you've released your first album. What else do you want to do that makes you feel like that would be a massive achievement?
As I talked about before, going to the US would be a really huge thing for us, and then
Yeah.
also just like not have to have like jobs when we're not on tour. Being able to earn enough money that we can do this for a living
Self-sufficient. Yeah,
is,
yeah.
at least for me, like, yeah, that's a huge thing as well, which like takes a lot of time, especially when you play death metal.
Yeah.
But hopefully at some point we can get there, or at least close.
That's going to happen
And then probably like I would hope we'll see.
for sure, man.
But yeah, I mean, just yeah, that's probably the biggest one, being able to like live off touring comfortably.
Yeah, I see. So, a couple more questions. What track from the album should I play next and why?
You should play Unholy Inquisition because that's the one where I wrote the lyrics.
Oh, cool.
One song on
Okay.
the album.
Right. So, okay, let's go back to the original thing. Why did you write
I
that?
guess that's also my favorite song.
Why did you get the rights to
I
write
mean,
that?
I don't know. I guess I was really, I went to like a Christian private school. And like when I started breaking out of that and like thinking for myself and getting into metal, it was really like okay, we're gonna do the most like anti-Christian and like song I can possibly write. And that's pretty much what came out. I'm not even like very like actively against all religion or anything. I think people should die, like the song says, but it was just kind of like exploring a way of thinking that I don't feel like I was allowed to when I was like in that place in my life. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's also just like one of my favorite guitar songs we have on the record.
Awesome. Finally, what's the most used emoji in your phone?
Oh, should I check? Actually, I know it's the salute emoji.
Okay. Are you just like saluting each other?
Yeah.
I love it. I love
I
it.
can't really explain what it means, but I use it a lot.
Just agreeing to everyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Listen, mate, thank you so much for joining me on the show. The album's amazing. I'm going to I've told so many people to listen to it, but the fact that you've got these shows, I'm looking forward to seeing you for the first time in London with Slayer. That's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck for the rest of the year, mate, and good luck for the tour.
Thank you so much.